Hello all, welcome to another quick learning. Today I'm going back to Codecademy and the Python 2 exercises. So I've completed up to a day at the supermarket lesson. So we're going to go to that. If you're joining this in the middle of the playlist, I'm going to put a link down below so you can start from the beginning if you wish. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started with this latest lesson. Alright, before we begin our exercise, we should go over the Python for loop one more time. For now, we are only going to go over the for loop in terms of how it relates to lists and dictionaries. We'll explain more cool for loop uses in later courses. For loops allow us to iterate through all of the elements in a list from the leftmost or 0th element to the rightmost element. A sample loop would be constructed as follows. Say we got a list, it's assigned to A, and it's got the words list of word and sort, and then it's cycling through that list by going for X in A. The loop will run all the code in the indented block under the for X in A statement. The item in the list that is currently being evaluated will be X, so running the following for item in the list 1, 3, 21, print item, so it's just going to print 1 and then 3 and then 21. The variable for and in can be set to any variable name currently item, but you should be careful to avoid using the word list as a variable since it's a reserved word. That is, it means something special in the Python language. Use a for loop to print out all of the elements in the list names. Okay, so I'm going to go for name in names, print name. So you can put this as anything you want. You could do it X, Y, Z, pizza, whatever, and then you just specify that one thing in the name here. And it just prints out each name in sequence. This is key. You can also use a for loop on a dictionary to loop through its keys with the following. So we've got a dictionary here. You can see it's a dictionary because it's got the curly braces, and it's also got the key value pair. So you've got the key followed by a colon and then the value. So you can do for key in D. Again, this can be anything you want. Key, or name it whatever you want. And then you just print D, and then you put in brackets key, and it'll print out the value. Note that dictionaries are unordered, meaning that anytime you loop through a dictionary, you will want to go through every key, but you are not guaranteed to get them in any particular order. Use a for loop to go through the Webster dictionary and print out all of the definitions. Okay. We're just going to do for X in Webster, and then we're going to print out Webster and then a key of X. So it's cycling through all of the keys, and then we're feeding that key back into the dictionary as the parameter inside of the brackets. Sorry, I forgot the name of that for a second. Alright, control flow and looping. The blocks of code in a for loop can be as big or as small as they need to be. While looping, you may want to perform different actions depending on the particular list in the item. So in the above example, we create a list with 4 numbers in it, so that's numbers. Here's the list. When we loop through the numbers list and store each item in the list in the variable number. Okay, so we're cycling through each number in numbers. If number is greater than 6, they'll print it out. So it's going to go through 1. It's going to say, nope, it's not greater than 6, not greater than 6, not greater than 6. This one's greater than 6, so then it's going to print 7. Alright, make sure we keep track of your indentation or you may get confused. Alright, length step 2 above, loop through each item in the list called A. Length step X, step 3 above, if the number is even, print it out. You can test if item, so this is the modulus operator, 2 equals 0 to help you out. Okay. Let's just do for x in A, if x modulo 2 is equals to 0, then we print it out. Okay. So it's going to print out 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. The reason why it doesn't print out these odd numbers is because 1 modulo 2 equals 1, because it's giving you what the remainder is when you divide by 2. And there we go. Lists and functions. Functions can also take lists as inputs and perform various operations on those lists. So in the above example, we define a function count small that has one parameter numbers. So you can see we're defining the count small function and we have a parameter of numbers. We initialize a variable total that we can use in the for loop. So initializing it means you're setting it to an initial value, in this case 0. For each item n in numbers, if n is less than 10, we increment total. So if it's less than 10, we're increasing it by 1. You may also see this as plus equals 1 instead of equals total plus 1. And after the for loop, we return total. So return total. After the function definition, we create an array of numbers called lotto. We call the count small function pass in lotto and store the return value in small. Alright, so they're calling the function count small, they're passing in this list of lotto, and then they're assigning the output to small. So what's returned here in total is going to be assigned to small and then just printing out small. Write a function that counts how many times the string Fizz appears in a list. Write a function called Fizz count that takes a list X as input. Alright, so we're going to define a function, we're going to call it Fizz count. Takes in a list X as input, create a variable count to hold the ongoing count, so we're going to initialize that count to 0. For each item, for item in X, so this is going to be X is the list that we're going to be passed into this function. If that item is equal to, if item is equal to Fizz, and increment the count variable. And then if that is correct, then I'm going to increment the count variable. So you can also write this as count equals count plus 1, and it would be the same thing. After the loop, so we're going to go back here to the indentation before the loop and return count. Okay. Invalid syntax. Oh, I didn't put if, sorry. This count seems to be missing. Let's just grab the solution. Alright, so what did I do wrong here? Let's make sure this is take this comment off. Hopefully the indentation is correct. Let's run it again. Let's look at the solution here. What did I do? I must have had the indentation or something wrong here, because it looks the same as what I had, except for this was plus equals. So if we run that, I guess it doesn't like plus equals. Is that it? Interesting. Alright, well anyways. String looping. As we've mentioned, strings are like lists with characters as elements. You can loop through strings the same way you loop through lists. While we won't ask you to do that in this section, we'll put an example in the editor of how looping through a string might work. Run the code to see string iteration in action. Alright, so for letter in Codecademy, so it's going to go through each letter separately. It's going to print that letter. It's just going to print C, O, D, E, all on separate lines. And then it's going to print a couple empty lines. And then it's assigning word to this. And for letter in word, if the letter is I, it's going to print that letter. So then it's going to print some, let's see, how many I's? 1, 2. Yeah. Your own store. Okay, on the core of our project, congratulations, you are now proud owner of your own Codecademy brand supermarket. In the example we created a dictionary called animal counts with 3 entries. One of the entries has the key ant and the value 3. Let's see here. Key, value. Create a new dictionary called prices. So we're going to go prices equal to, using the curly bracket format, like the example above, put these values in your prices dictionary in between the brackets. I'm actually going to just copy and paste this to make it quicker. So we got banana, the value is 4, apple 2, orange 1.5, and pear 3. Yeah, this place is really expensive. Your supermarket subsidizes the zoo from the last course. Okay. Next, investing in stock. Good work. As a store manager, you're also in charge of keeping track of your stock/inventory. Create a stock dictionary. Okay. Oops. Stock with the values below. I'm going to copy and paste these. There we go. Keeping track of the produce. Now that we have all of your product info, you should print out all of your inventory information. So here in the example above, we create 2 dictionaries, once and twice, that have the same keys. Here you see 2 dictionaries. Because we know that they have the same keys, we can loop through one dictionary and print values from both once and twice. So they're just looping through the keys of once, but the keys are the same between the 2. So you can go once key or twice key and get what you're looking for. But if there's different keys, you might get a key error. Loop through each key in prices. For like the example above, for each key, print out the key along with its price and stock information. Print the answer in exactly the following format. Okay. For key in prices, print, and we're going to print out. We're going to print prices. Now we're going to print key first, and then we're going to do a colon, and then we're going to do the prices dot prices key, sorry. Alright, like the example above, because you know the prices and stock dictionaries have the same key, you can access the stocks dictionary while you're looping through the prices. When you're printing, you can use the syntax from the above. Oh, okay, so what they want is print key. So they want first what's the name of the thing, then the price, then the stock. Okay. Now I've got it. Price plus prices key, and then we're printing stock plus stock key. Can't concatenate string and float. Okay. So I'm going to have to do this. Put this in a string thing. Let's run that. All right. So the other way you could do it is how they do it in this example is you do %s. And then after the percent, you put what you want it to replace it with. So I made it a little bit more complicated than it needed to be. Something of value. For paperwork and accounting purposes, let's record the total value of inventory. It's nice to know what we're worth. Let's determine how much money you would make if you sold all of your food. Create a variable called total and set it to 0. Okay. Loop through the prices dictionary. For each key in prices, multiply the number in prices by the number in stock. Print the value into the console and then add it to total. Finally, outside the loop, print total. Okay. So I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to loop. So I've already got the loop set up. I'm going to create a variable called total. Set it to 0. I want to do this outside of the loop, otherwise at each time it's going to set it back to 0. Loop through the prices dictionary for each. Okay, and then I'm going to put that value into the console and then add it to total. So I'm going to print prices key times stock key. And then I'm adding it to total. Finally, outside the loop, print total. Got it. All right, 1, 2. Print total. See if that works. There we go. Shopping at the market. Great work. Now we're going to take a step back from the management side and take a look through the eyes of the shopper. In order for customers to order online, they're going to have to make a consumer interface. Don't worry, it's easier than it sounds. First, make a list called groceries with the values banana, orange, and apple. Alright, so groceries is going to equal a list, so we've got the square brackets, and it's going to be banana, orange, and apple. Alright, making a purchase, good. Now you're going to need to know how much you're paying for all the items in your grocery list. In the above example, we first defined a function called sum with a parameter numbers. So here, define sum, and we're just passing in the parameter numbers. We initialize the variable total here to 0, which we use as a running sum. For each number in the list, we add that number to the running sum total. So here it's going through all of the numbers and then adding that to the total and returning the total. At the end of the function, we return the running sum. After the function, we create n, a list of numbers. Finally, we call the sum of numbers function with the variable n and print the result. All right, define a function compute bill. Okay, we're going to define the function compute bill. It takes one argument, food, as an input. We need the colon there after that. In the function, create a variable total and initialize it to 0. For each item in the food list, add the price of that item to total. All right, so for item in food, we're going to add that to total. Okay. So total plus equals prices item. So we're looking up the item in this food list in the prices dictionary and pulling back that price. And then we're going to return total. Ignore whether or not the item you're billing for is in stock. Notice that your function should work for any food list. Okay. That worked. Stocking out. Now you need your compute bill function to take the stock inventory of a particular item into account when computing the cost. Ultimately, if an item isn't in stock, then it shouldn't be included in the total. You can't buy or sell what you don't have. Make the following changes to your compute bill function. While you loop through each item of food, only add the price of the item to total if the item's stock count is greater than 0. If the item is in stock and after you add the price to the total, subtract 1 from the item's stock count. All right. Okay, so we're going to do this. If we're going to look at the stock dictionary, we're going to look at the key is greater than 0. Then we're going to do this. Then we're going to add that to the total. And then we are going to go to the stock key and we're going to subtract 1. This equals 1. So we're taking 1 off of anything of the stock that isn't 0. Let's see, there's an error. Calling compute bill with a list containing 1 apple, 1 pear, and 1 banana resulted in 0 instead of correct. Okay, so what's going on here? Oh, I used key. We're cycling through food by item, so I need to put item here. There we go. That should do it. There we go. Perfect. You've done a great job with lists and dictionaries in this project. You've practiced using for loops with lists and dictionaries, writing functions with loops, lists, and dictionaries, updating data in response to changes in the environment, for instance, decreasing the number of bananas in stock by 1 when you sell one. Thanks for shopping at the Codecademy supermarket. Print your result and click Run to finish this course. Okay. So we're going to go here. We're going to print compute bill, and we're going to call that with this shopping list up here. Oops. pass that in. So 5.5 is the bill, and we are finished with that course. Alright, I hope you guys are able to follow along with this section, and I hope you guys join me for some more videos in the future. Thank you very much.